off, really honored and thrilled to be able to be gathering as a community, celebrate culture and art and small business, and how we can come together to bring awareness and to build new relationships and to share old ideas again. And we're really inspired to bring beauty to this corner. I don't know, many of you may have seen in the past there was a graffitied mural here. We saw a great opportunity to connect with the roots of this land and to share some stories. So first off, I want to acknowledge the city of Toronto acknowledges that we acknowledge that what we call Toronto here is on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat people, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. The city also acknowledges that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Williams Treaty, signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. I also want to acknowledge that the City of Toronto's Outdoor Mural Grant funded this beautiful work here. And today's celebration has been funded by the Bloordale BIA. We got a micro grant to fund this party to provide some food that was brought to us by Bucco. We provided from tea. Saponetti, I'm the owner at Saponetti here. We have Green Zero that's provided us with some cups, so we have some zero waste options, so we're not adding more waste to the waste stream. And finally, I'd like to also welcome and thank our guest of honor, Philip Cote, for coming and joining us and bringing his friends and family, and just to share some teachings about why we chose to put this mural here and why it's important that we have this knowledge and that we share it with our community. So without much further ado, I'd like to invite you to extend a warm welcome to Phil Cote. Thank you.
So we wish everyone for coming. I had written a few things just to be a little more formal about how I. I just want to give a traditional acknowledgement to everyone here and to my ancestors, because they're around here, and even if we can't see it, all of our ancestors are near. So, Ani Baju Tanzi Sego, welcome everyone. Anishinaabe, Azini Kajwan, Nojmo, Mushkogiash, Gichi Manidu, Anishinaabe, and Doda, Mishapichu, Nin, Anishinaabe, Shawnee, Lakota, Potawatomi, Ojibwe, Algonquin, Minwa, Mohawk. So I have my land acknowledgement for what I think is really important to read. I have a traditional land acknowledgement. I'm a historian, and I've done lots of research around Southern Ontario and this whole new protocol that's come to all the institutions of learning across our city and across the province and indeed across Canada. This is something really new, something that people formerly were not engaged with or even heard about. You know, this the whole idea comes into this play that we are now beginning to transmit Indigenous narratives across the country, and so this for me is a very important point, because for so long Indigenous people have been silenced through colonialism and marginalization of our culture, language, and our history. So, without further ado, this is my traditional land acknowledgement, and this is my short version. I have a much longer version that will take some time to read. So I would like to acknowledge our presence on the land that has been the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, the Wendat, and the Haudenosaunee peoples since time immemorial. And in 1805, with the signing of the Toronto Purchase, is now the treaty lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit. As we reach back to those first Torontonians, we remember our Mother Earth through the 7 grandfather teachings: wisdom, bravery, respect, honesty, truth, humility, and love. The stories of these nations endure and continue to guide our thoughts and actions on this land. And as we acknowledge our Mother Earth, we acknowledge the medicine wheel and its teachings. We recognize the four directions, north, south, east, and west, and the four seasons, spring, summer, fall, and winter. It is these four seasons that represent the cycle of life. Nindenaway Magani Duck, which means all my relations, which means we are all related. So this is a really important point in the land acknowledgement to talk about all my relations, what that means. And it's in the mural. Even though I don't have the words there, visually that statement is in the mural. And where that statement sits is, take a look at all the black lines connecting everything together. That is where all my relations said, because we're all connected and we're all made of light and dark. When we talk about our cosmology in the beginning of the universe, we're talking about the beginning of how this all came about, how we are here, standing here today on Mother Earth, and how the sun is shining down on us. So we have to look at the fact that in the beginning there was a great black void, and in that black void was a spirit, and that spirit sent signals out to find out if anyone else was in the universe. So the spirit sent out four signals, and when those signals didn't get a response, that spirit called those signals back and said, as you come back to me, create light in the universe. And at that moment, all the stars were born. And from all those stars forming, planets began to form, until a planet that could hold life was formed. And that is the beginning of our story, because it's that planet that we are here. And because of that creation, that experience, we were allowed to come here and represent that spirit on this land. You know, I know we have lots of belief systems across the world, and our belief system and our language and our story is the oldest story on the planet, because according to some of our elders, we've been here for 2 ice ages. So when you go into archaeology to discover how long ago 2 ice ages are, you'll see that it's 1 million years. So, okay, so now we are in a Western society that has a science division in it. That science division continues to block Indigenous history by blocking our stories and relegating them to mythology. So I like to say that as an Indigenous person who practices the culture, I've seen many things in my many years of being part of those ceremonies that I cannot explain. So our ancestors and elders know something more than science knows. So even now, science is just beginning to catch up with us through theories like string theory, time travel, and Indigenous people have indeed been talking and understanding these concepts for thousands of years. So just to get back to our mural here, I just want to say that the mural is made of all these different animals. The Indigenous people, we've incorporated that thinking into our wisdom. And today, the Western world calls that called Indigenous pedagogy, land-based pedagogy. So basically what it means is a lot of our wisdom and understanding about the world and the universe comes from the animals and what they're capable of. And that's why this is really important to bring into a public space, because we can start talking about the many contributions of the animal world that are part of our everyday lives, and we always forget about it. But it's important to remember where those original wisdoms come from. Because it's not just Indigenous people learning from the animals, the whole world was learning from the animals. Human beings were really far behind the animal kingdom. They knew about everything, and it was the human beings that began to watch these animals and realize these animals knew what they were doing. And that was important because those animals were successful until we came along, right? So now it's time to take a look back at that nature, take a look at those amazing creatures that are part of our culture, part of our language, and kind of celebrate them. And that's what this mural is doing. We're celebrating that connection with the animal world, and it's important. We are in times of change where we are beginning to take stock of the ecosystem and how poorly it's going for the animal kingdom and how poorly now it's going for the people. So I think we're at a point in time where we're beginning to take a look back and maybe rethink about how we had these great connections through their wisdom, and maybe we're going to start taking notes from the animals again. So miigwech everyone, I want to do a song and I want to do a smudge too, so I want to put my my drum out because it's important that we do an honor song, not just for us, but for those animals. We're going to do the song for that, and we're going to do a song for the ancestors today. So I brought my smudge with me. As soon as I've done the song, I'm going to light the smudge. I'm going to pass it around. I'm going to show you how to smudge my way, and it's not the highway either. I'm just going to show you. Okay, so this is a Sundance song, and it's one of my favorite songs. This one's called the Pipe Song, and this is a song that's usually sung on the third day of the Sundance, and that's the hardest day or the best day. You have to decide. When you're a Sundancer on the third day, what's happening is they're taking a knife and they're cutting through here, and they're putting these pegs in through your skin, and they're tying you to the tree. That's the third day. Well, I say that's the best day. All my relations. So I'm going to bring the smudge out. You don't have to participate if it doesn't make you feel comfortable. I leave it up to you. But believe me, this ceremony has been happening a long time on this land, thousands of years. You know, a lot of people, we talk about these rituals, we talk about the Smudge Ceremony, and I don't hear a lot of people talking about what it really is. So the Smudge Ceremony itself is the beginning of the universe. I've never heard anybody say that, but that's what it is. So when you're having the Smudge Ceremony, you're being part of this creation story. You're part of the beginning of the universe. And you know, this artwork that Norval Moroso made so famous, this woodland style artwork, he put that thought into the art. So he was taking a position, a humble position, saying that he's just an artist, but it's really his knowledge and storytelling about the universe from our ancestors' perspective that was more important. And that's why that black line runs through the whole mural, because that black line represents that black void in the beginning of the universe. So when you look at that black line now, you'll know that's why it's there. And you know, when you guys go into museums now or art galleries and you see this kind of artwork, the gallery owner doesn't know that, you do. So, you know, this is about taking back some of these institutions taking control of our narratives and our voice. And I think that's kind of funny that, you know, I've been following these teachings for a long time now. And it's important that Indigenous people know their own story, but it's also important for the general population to know that story. And the reason being is because when we all know that story, it breaks down the systemic racism that is running through our culture and through our society today. It gives people a chance for a different perspective and gets rid of all these negative news stories that talks about Indigenous people. So I'm going to do the smudge here. If we run out, you'll see I'll get more. We'll start again, but I'm going to show you how this is how